Hello, Mark. I'm Mitch. I'm number 22. Pamela Meyer, How to Spot a Liar. And I'm from Junior. Okay, now I don't want to alarm anybody in this room, but it just come to my attention that the person to your right is a liar, laughter. Also, the person to your left is a liar. Also, the person sitting in your very seat is a liar. We're all liars. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you what the research say about why we are all liars, how you can become lie spotters, and why you might want to go to the extra miles and go from lie spotting to truth seeking, and ultimately to trust building. Now, speaking of trust, ever since I wrote this book, Lie Spotting, no one wants to meet me in person anymore. No, 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 no. They say it's okay, we'll email you. Laughter. I can't even get a coffee date at Starbucks. My husband's like, honey, deception. Maybe you could have focused on cooking. How about French cooking? So before I get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clarify my goal for you, which is not to teach again of Gocha. Lie spotters aren't those nitpicky kids, those kids in the back of the room that are shouting, Gocha, Gocha, your eyebrow twitched. You flare your nostril. I watched that TV show Lie to Me. I know you are lying. No, lie spotters are armed with scientific knowledge of how to spot deception. They use it to get the truth and they do what mature leaders do every day. They have difficult conversations with difficult people, sometimes during very difficult times, and they start up that path by accepting a core proposition. And that proposition is the following. Lying is a cooperative act. Think about it. A lie has no power whatsoever by its mere utterance. Its power emerges when someone else agrees to believe the lie. So I know it may sound like tough love, but look, if at some point you got lied to, it's because you agreed to get lied to. Truth number one about lying. Lying is a cooperative act. Now, not all lies are harmful. Sometimes we are willing participants in deception for the sake of social dignity. Maybe to keep a secret that should be kept secret. We say, no, nice song. Honey, you don't look fat in that, no. Or we say, fabric of the delivery. You know, I've just finished that email out of my spam folder, so sorry. But there are times when we are unwilling participants in deception, and that can have dramatic costs for us. Last year saw $997 billion in corporate fraud alone in the United States. That's an eyelash under $1 trillion. That's 7% of revenues. Deception can cost billions. Think Aaron Madoff and the mortgage crisis, or in the case of double agents and traitors like Robert Hansen and Aldrich Ames. Lies can betray our country. They can compromise our security. They can undermine democracy. They can cause the death of those that defend us. Deception is actually serious business. This comment Harry Oplander. He was such an effective comment. British authorities said he could have undermined the entire banking system of Western world. And you can find this guy on Google. You can find him anywhere. He was interviewed once and he said the following. He said, look, I've got one rule, and this was Henry's rule. He said, look, everyone is willing to give you something. They're ready to give you something for whatever it is they are hungry for. And that's the crux of it. If you don't want to be deceived, you have to know what it is that you are hungry for. And we all kind of hate to admit it. We wish we were better husbands, better better wife, smarter, more powerful, taller, richer. The list goes on. Lying is an attempt to bridge that gap, to connect our wishes and our fantasies about who we wish we were, how we wish we could be, with what we're really like. And boy, are we willing to fill in those gaps in our life with lies. On a given day, studies show that you may be lied to anywhere from 10 to 200 times. Now, granted, many of those are white lies, but in another study, it showed that strangers lie 3 times within the first 10 minutes of meeting each other. Lecture. Now, when we first heard this data, we recoiled. We can't believe how prevalent lying is. We're essentially against lying, but if you look at more closely, the plot actually thinkens. We lie more strangers than we lie to coworkers. Extroverts lie more than introverts. Men lie 8 times more about themselves than they do other people. Women lie more to protect other people. If you are an average married couple, you are going to lie to your spouse in 1 out of every 10 interactions. Now you may think that's bad. If you are unmarried, that number drops to 3. Lying is complex. It's woven into a fabric of our daily and our business life. We are deeply ambivalent about the truth. We parse it out on an as-needed basis, sometimes for very good reasons, other times just because we don't understand the gaps in our lives. That's truth number 2 about lying. We are against lying, but we are covertly for it in ways that our society has sanctioned for centuries and centuries and centuries. Let us all as breathing. It's part of our culture, it's part of our history. Think Dante, Shakespeare, the Bible, news of the world. Lecture. Lying has evolutionary value to us as a species. Researchers have long known that the more intelligent the species, the larger the neocortex, the more likely it is to be deceptive. Now you might remember Coco. Does anybody remember Coco the gorilla who was told sign language? Coco was told to communicate by sign language. Here's Coco with her kitten. It's her cute little fluffy pet kitten. Coco once blamed her pet kitten for ripping a thing out of the wall. Later, we're hardwired to become leaders for the pack. It starts really, really early. How early? Well, babies will fake a cry pose, wait to see who's coming, and then go right back to crying. 1-year-old learn concealment, laughter. 2-year-olds bluff. 5-year-old lie outright. They manipulate by flattery. 9-year-olds master the cover-up. By the time you enter college, you are going to lie to your mom in 1 out of every 5 interactions. By the time we enter this world and we are brain winners, and we enter a world that is just cluttered with spam, fake digital brands, partisan media, ingenious identity thieves, world-class Ponzi schemers, a deception epidemic. In short, what one author called a post-truth society. It's been very confusing for a long time now. What do you do? Well, there are steps we can take to navigate our way through the morass. Train like Sparta get the truth 90% of the time. The rest of us will only 54% accurate. Why is it so easy to learn? There are good liars and bad liars. There are no real original liars. We all make the same mistakes. We all use the same techniques. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 2 patterns of deception, and then we're going to look at the hotspot and see if we can find them ourselves. We are going to start with speech. Video. Bill Cleaner. I'm want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual reaction with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. And these allegations are false. And I need to go back to work for the American people. Thank you. Applause. Pamela Meyer. Okay, what were the telltale signs? Well, first we heard what's known as a non-contracted denial. Studies show that people who are over-determined in their denial will resort to formal rather than informal language. We also heard distancy language. That woman. We know that liars will unconsciously distance themselves from their subject using that language as their tool. Now, if Bill Clinton had said, "Well, to tell you the truth," or Richard Nixon's favorite, in all candor, he would have been a dead giveaway for any lie spotter that knows the qualifying language, and it's called qualifying language like that further describe the subject. Now, if he had repeated the question in its entirety, or if he had peppered his account with a little too much detail, and we are really glad he didn't do that, he would have further discredited himself. Frog had it right. Frog said, "Look, there's much more to it than speech. No mortal can keep a secret. If his lips are silent, he chatters with his fingertips, and we all do it no matter how powerful you are. We all chatter with our fingertips. I'm going to show you demonic stress Kahan with Obama who's chattering with his fingertips. Laughter. Now, this brings us to the next pattern, which is body language. With body language, here's what you have got to do. You have really got to just throw your assumption out the door. Let the science temper your knowledge a little bit, because we think liars fidget all the times. Well, guess what? They are known to freeze their upper bodies when they are lying. We think liars won't look you in the eyes. We guess what? That look you in the eyes a little too much just as compensation for that myth. We think warmth and smiles convey honesty, sincerity, but a trained lie spotter can spot a fake smile a mile away. Can you all spot the fake smile here? You can consciously contract the muscle in your cheeks, but the real smile in the eyes, the crowd feet of the eyes, they cannot be consciously contracted, especially if you overdid the buttocks. Don't overdo the buttocks. Nobody will think you are honest. Now we are going to look at the hotspots. You can tell what's happening in the conversation. Can you start to find the hotspot to see the discrepancy between someone's word and someone's action? Now I know it seems really obvious, but when you are having a conversation with someone you suspect of deception, attitude is by far the most overlooked by telling of indicators. An honest person is going to be cooperative. They are going to show they are on your side. They are going to be enthusiastic. They are going to be willing and helpful to getting you to the truth. They are going to be willing to brainstorm and suspects, provide details. They are going to say, "Hey, maybe it's those guys in peril that forged those checks." They are going to be infuriated if they sense they're wrongly accused throughout the entire course of the interview, not just in flashes. They will be infuriated throughout the entire course of the interview. And if you ask someone honest who should happen to whoever did forge those checks, an honest person is much more likely to recommend strict rather than lenient punishment. Now let's say you are having that exact same conversation with someone deceptive. That person may be withdrawn, look down, lower their voice, pose, be kind of herky-jerky, ask a deceptive person to tell their story. They are going to pepper it with way too much detail in all kind of irrelevant places, and then they are going to tell their story in strict chronological order. And what a trained interrogator does is that come in and in very subtle ways over the course of several hours. They will ask the person to tell the story backwards, and they will watch their scripts that and check with questions produce the highest volume of deceptive tales. How do they do that? Well, we will all do the same thing. We rehearse our work, but we rarely rehearse our gesture. We say yes, we shake our heads no. We will tell very convincing stories. We slightly shrug our shoulders. We commit terrible crimes and we smile at the delight in getting away with it. Now that smile is known in the trade as duping delight. And we are going to see in the several videos moving forward, but we are going to start for those of you who don't know him. This is presidential candidate John Edward who shocked Americans by following a child out of wedlock. We are going to see him talk about getting a paternity test. See now if you can spot him saying yes while shaking his head no, slightly shrugging his shoulders. Video, John Edward. I'll be happy to participate in one. I know that it's not possible that this child could be mine because of the timing of events. So I know it's not possible. Happy to take a paternity test and would love to see it happen. Interviewer, are you going to do that soon? Is there somebody? John Edward, well, I'm only one side of the test, but I'm happy to participate in one. Pamela, Meyer, okay, those hat tricks are much easier to spot once you know to look for them. There are going to be times when someone makes one expression while making another that just kind of leaks through in a flash. Murderers are known to leak sentences. Your new joint venture partner might shake your head, celebrate, go out to dinner with you, and take the link and expression of anger. And we're not all going to become facial expression expert overnight here, but there's one I can teach you that's very dangerous and it's easy to learn. And that's the expression of contempt. Now with anger you've got two people on an even playing field. It's still somewhat of healthy relationship. But when anger turns to contempt, you have been dismissed as associated with moral superiority, and for that reason, it's very, very hard to recover from. Here's what it looks like. It marks by one lips corner pull up and in. It's the only systematic expression, and it's in the presence of contempt. Whether or not deception follows, and it doesn't always follow. Look the other way, go to the other direction, reconsider the deal. Say, no, thank you, I'm not coming out for just one more nightcap. Thank you. Science has surfaced many, many more indicators we know. For example, we know liars will shift their blink rate, point their feet toward and exist. They will take their very object and put them between themselves and the person that is interviewing them. They all alter their vocal tones, often making their vocal tone much lower. Now here's the deal. These behaviors are just behaviors. They are not proof of deception. They are reflex. We are human beings. We make deceptive flowing gestures all over the place all day long. They don't mean anything in and of themselves, but when you see a cluster of them, it's your signal. Look, listen, proud. Ask some hard questions. Get out of the very comfortable mode of knowing. Walk into curiosity mode. Ask more questions. Have a little dignity. Treat that person you are talking to with rapport. Don't try to be like those folk on Law and Order and those other TV shows that pummel their suspect into submission. Don't be too aggressive, it doesn't work. Now we have talked a little bit about how to talk to someone who's lying and how to spot a lie. And as I promised, we are now going to look at what the truth looks like. But I'm going to show you two videos, two models. One is lying, one is telling the truth. And this was surfaced by researcher David Matsumoto in California, and I think they are really an excellent example of what the truth like. This mother, Diane Jones, shot her kids at close range, drove them to the hospital while they bleed all over the car, claimed a scratchy hair stranger did it, and you'll see when you see the video. She can even pretend to be Anthony's mother. What you want to look for here is an incredible discrepancy between horrific events that she describes as and her very, very cool demeanor. And if you look closely, you will see dumping delight throughout this video. Diane Jones. At night, when I close my eyes, I can see Christy reaching her hands out to me while I'm driving, and the blood just kept coming out of her mouth, and that maybe is fed to with time, but I don't think so. That bothers me the most. Pamela Meyer. Now I'm going to show you a video of an actual grieving mother, Ari Running, confronting her daughter's murderer and torture in court. Have you Here you are going to see a false emotion, just the authentic expression of a mother's agony. Video. Aaron Browning. I wrote this statement on the third anniversary of the night you did to my baby, and you hurt her, and you crushed her, you terrified her until her heart stopped, and she fought, and I know she fought you, but I know she looked at you with those amazing brown eyes, and you still wanted to kill her, and I don't understand it, and I never will. Pamela Meyer. Okay, that's no doubting the veracity of those emotions. Now the technology around what the truth looks like is progressing on. The science of it, we know, for example, that now have specialized eye trackers that infrared brain scan (MRIs) that can decode the signals that our bodies send out when we are trying to be deceptive. And these technologies are going to be marketed to all of us as panaceas for disease, and they will prove incredibly useful someday. But you have got to ask yourself in the meantime, who do you want to on your side of the meeting? Someone who's trained in getting to the truth, or some guy who's going to drag a 400-pound electroencephalogram through the door? Lie spotters rely on human tools. They know, as someone once said, characters who you are in the dark. And what's kind of interesting is that today we have so little darkness. Our world is lit up 24 hours a day. It's transparent with blog and social network broadcasting the battle of the whole new generations of people. They have made a choice to live their life in public. It's a much more noisy world. So one challenge we have is to remember oversharing that not honesty. Our manic tweeting and texting can blind us to the fact that the subtleties of human decency, character integrity, that's still what matters. That's always what's going to matter. So it's much noisier work. It might make sense for us to be just a little bit more explicit about our moral code. When you combine the science of recognizing deception with the art of looking, listening, you exempt yourself from collaborating in a lie. You start up the path of being just a little bit near explicit because you signal to everyone around you. You say, hey, my word is going to be an honest one. My word is going to be where truth is strengthened and falsehood is recognized and marginalized. And when you do that, the ground around you starts to shift just a little bit. And that's the truth. Thank you. Applause. This is the end of my first recording. Thank you, Mark. Bye bye.